She never expected to see him again, not like this, not standing there with that same cold, unshakable calm that had haunted her dreams for years. 2 years had passed since Noah Blackwell had told her, without a flicker of hesitation, that she was his past. He had made it clear that her presence no longer mattered, that their story had ended the moment he walked away. Yet here he was, towering and polished, every inch the image the world worshipped. Tailored suit, perfect posture, and eyes sharp enough to cut through the bravest of hearts. Beside him, a woman she didn't recognize smiled with quiet confidence, the kind of smile that claimed victory without words. Evelyn's chest tightened. Memories she had buried, laughs in hidden corners, whispered dreams, stolen moments of tenderness, pushed against the walls she'd built to survive. The air in the lobby felt heavy, electric, as if the universe had conspired to place her in this moment of unbearable confrontation. She told herself to remain composed, to not let the sting of his presence unravel her, but every instinct screamed otherwise. Her hands curled around her bag, knuckles white, heart racing as she tried to breathe past the panic. This wasn't just a meeting, it was a reckoning. And deep down she realized that life had a way of twisting fate, of weaving consequences into moments when you least expected them. Whatever Noah thought he had controlled, whatever illusions of moving on he believed, Evelyn felt that something far greater was stirring, something that would change everything he had ever dismissed. Evelyn stepped out of the lobby, the city streets rushing around her like a living, indifferent current. Each step felt heavier than the last, as though the ground itself remembered the weight of heartbreak. She tried to shake off the image of Noah, his perfect posture, the woman at his side, the certainty in his eyes that she no longer existed in his world, but her mind refused to let go. Memories of late-night conversations, secret laughter, and moments when he had made her feel seen and alive pressed against her chest. She reached her apartment, locked the door behind her, and sank against it, tears coming unbidden. It wasn't just the sting of rejection. It was the sudden, sharp realization that life had moved on while she was still clinging to fragments of what once was. Exhaustion pulled her into a restless sleep, and when she woke the next morning, her body felt foreign, heavy with unease. Her hands shook as she moved through the motions of the day, and then it hit her, a subtle, undeniable change that made her knees nearly buckle. She barely recognized the fluttering hope that mingled with fear in her chest. She rushed to the bathroom, heart pounding as her fingers tore open the small box she had bought months ago, almost forgotten in the chaos of life. The test revealed what she had dared not imagine. She wasn't just carrying a future, she was carrying 2 tiny lives, miracles she had never anticipated. Her mind raced with a mix of fear, awe, and determination. For the first time since Noah had called her the past, she felt the extraordinary weight of being the beginning of something new, something undeniable, something that would forever change the course of their lives, even if he never knew. Evelyn's world shifted in ways she hadn't imagined possible. The realization that she carried not 1 but 2 tiny lives, brought a mix of fear and awe that left her trembling. She spent hours staring out the window of her quiet apartment, her hands resting protectively over her stomach, feeling the impossible weight of responsibility settle in. Thoughts of Noah clawed at her. How would he react if he knew? Could she trust him not to shatter this fragile miracle with the same cold words he had once spoken? She knew the answer, she couldn't. Determination bloomed inside her like fire. These children would know love, warmth, and safety before anything else. She began making plans, quietly researching everything she could about starting anew, far from the city, far from gossip, far from the life that had once demanded she choose between love and survival. She found a small, secluded cottage on the outskirts of Savannah, a place that seemed untouched by the pain of the past, a place where she could breathe, heal, and protect her growing family. Packing slowly, meticulously, she carried each box with a quiet resolve, each movement a silent promise. No one would take this miracle from her, no one, not even Noah. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in years, Evelyn felt the faint but unwavering pulse of hope. Evelyn arrived at the cottage as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of gold and rose. The air smelled of earth and possibility, a stark contrast to the cold steel and glass of the city she had left behind. She ran her hands along the worn wooden railing of the porch, feeling the weight of the past begin to lift, even if just slightly. Inside, the cottage was modest but warm, every corner offering a promise of safety and new beginnings. She unpacked slowly, each item a step toward reclaiming a life that had been overshadowed by heartbreak. Nights were quiet, filled with the gentle hum of the countryside and the rhythmic beat of her own heart, carrying the tiny lives within her. She began talking softly to them, imagining the moments she would share, the lullabies, the laughter, the first steps. Each day she discovered a resilience she hadn't known existed, a strength fueled by love she hadn't realized she was capable of giving. And yet, even in this sanctuary, shadows of Noah lingered, not in his presence but in memory, in the ache of what could have been. She forced herself to focus on the life growing inside her, on the future she was determined to build. But fate, as she would soon learn, has a way of testing even the strongest resolve, weaving the past into the present when least expected, and preparing the stage for a reunion that would challenge everything she thought she knew about love, forgiveness, and destiny. Weeks turned into months, and Evelyn felt life within her grow stronger with each passing day. She moved through the rhythm of her new world, quiet mornings, the gentle warmth of sunlight on her skin, and evenings filled with the soft whisper of wind through the trees. Her heart, once fractured by betrayal and loss, began to mend in ways she hadn't imagined possible. She planned for the future with meticulous care, setting up the nursery, preparing for two tiny lives who had already changed everything. And yet, a part of her couldn't ignore the lingering question. What would happen if Noah ever discovered the truth? The thought made her chest tighten, but she refused to let fear dominate her joy. Every kick, every flutter, was a reminder of resilience, of life thriving despite the pain of the past. Then one day, as she walked along the quiet path near the cottage, she saw a familiar car approaching. A sleek, unmistakable black sedan cutting through the golden afternoon light. Her breath caught. Could it be him? Her mind raced with warnings, memories, and what? The car slowed, and when the door opened, the world seemed to tilt. Noah Blackwell stood there, not with arrogance this time, but with something she hadn't seen in years: hesitation, surprise, and a hint of something that might be regret. Evelyn's pulse quickened, but she held her ground. She realized that the moment had arrived, one that would test her strength, her courage, and the life she was building. The past had found her, and now she had to decide if she would let it define her or rise above it. Noah's presence on the quiet path felt unreal, like a memory stepping out of the shadows into the sunlight. Evelyn's heart raced, but she refused to let panic or old pain take control. He looked different here, less like the untouchable CEO of the city, more like a man confronted by the consequences of choices he thought were final. His eyes searched hers, a flicker of something unspoken crossing his face, and for the first time in years she saw uncertainty where there had always been certainty. Slowly, carefully, he spoke, his voice low and measured, as if each word had to be chosen with precision. "Evelyn, I didn't know." She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she allowed him to see the life she carried, the undeniable proof of the future he had dismissed. Noah's expression shifted, a mixture of shock, awe, and an unspoken apology reflected in the widening of his eyes. Evelyn's fingers rested on her stomach instinctively, a silent shield around the two tiny lives that had already changed her world. She realized then that the power of love and courage wasn't in clinging to what had been, but in protecting what was yet to come. Noah stepped closer, hesitant, his usual confidence replaced by humility, and in that moment, Evelyn understood something profound. The past could not erase her, nor could it dictate the future. With calm resolve, she looked him in the eye and whispered, "I've built a life they will never lose. And it begins now." The distance between them was still filled with history, but the path ahead shimmered with possibilities, unbreakable and full of hope.